All right, today we're jumping into one of the most incredible periods in all of ancient history, the Gupta Empire in India. Now, you hear this term thrown around a lot, a golden age. But what does that actually mean? Well, let's pull back the curtain and figure out the recipe for an era that literally shaped our world.
So, this is the big question, right? How does a civilization hit that peak? It's way more than just winning battles or having a powerful ruler. It's about creating this perfect storm where a whole society just ignites with progress. So, what was the Guptas' secret sauce?
To really get what the Guptas accomplished, you gotta look at what came before. For over a century, after the big empires of the past had crumbled, India was basically a patchwork quilt of small, competing kingdoms. It was a time of chaos and uncertainty. But, as they say, out of chaos comes opportunity.
Okay, first things first. Before we get to the who, let's talk about the what. What are we even talking about when we use this phrase, golden age? What are the ingredients?
It's a pretty powerful formula when you break it down. It all starts with peace. Peace brings stability, and with stability, well, that's when the economy can really take off. And when people aren't constantly worried about just surviving, that's when the magic happens. Art, science, innovation, it all just explodes. That's your golden age.
Right, so this kind of thing doesn't just happen on its own. It takes some serious vision, some incredible leadership. So let's meet the architects of this empire, the people who actually made it all possible.
Our story really kicks off in the year 320 CE. The main character? A guy named Chandragupta I. Now, he wasn't the very first Gupta ruler, but he was the real game changer. He managed to take the throne of Magadha, a super powerful kingdom, and that's when things started to get really interesting.
And get this, he didn't build his power just with swords. Nope, he was smarter than that. He made a brilliant strategic move. He married a princess from the Lichavi tribe, a really powerful and influential group. That marriage was like the foundation stone for the whole empire. It gave him legitimacy, resources, and a whole lot of political muscle.
Okay, so if Dad laid the foundation, the son came in to build the house. And boy, did he build. Meet Samudrakta. This guy was an absolute military legend in Indian history.
I mean, the sheer scale of his campaigns is just mind-boggling. He marched his armies all over the subcontinent, unifying these huge territories. But here's the really clever part. He wasn't just about brute force. He defeated kings in the south and then let them keep ruling, as long as they answered to him. Super smart. It kept things stable. He was more than a conqueror. He was a unifier.
So, after the great conqueror comes the great consolidator. This is Chandragupta II. You might also hear him called Vikramaditya. He's the one who takes this massive empire his father built and just perfects it. Under his rule, the Gupta Empire hit its absolute peak.
His biggest military move? Taking out the Saka rulers in the west. Now, why was that such a huge deal? Well, it was all about the money. That victory gave the Guptas control of the western coast, which meant control over the super profitable sea trade with Europe and the Middle East. And all that cash flooding into the empire? That's what paid for the art, the science, the golden part of the golden age.
Okay, so you've built this enormous, diverse empire. Now what?
I mean, conquering all that land is one thing, but how on earth do you actually run it all without it falling apart?
Their secret weapon was actually good management. They didn't try to micromanage everything from the capital. Instead, they broke the empire down into provinces, then districts, all the way down to individual villages. This meant local leaders could handle local problems, which kept the whole massive machine running smoothly. It was a brilliant, flexible system.
And hey, you don't have to just take my word for it. We have accounts from people who were actually there. This guy, Fahin, a traveler from China, journeyed through the empire and wrote about what he saw, and he was just blown away. He talks about how prosperous and happy people were, how there was hardly any crime. That's the real-world result of good government.
All right, so we've got peace, check. We've got prosperity, check. The stage is perfectly set. And now comes the really amazing part, the unbelievable explosion of ideas, of art, and of science.
Look at this. It's just a zero. It looks like nothing, right? But this little concept is one of the most important inventions in all of human history. The idea of zero and the decimal system that it enabled, developed right here during this era. It completely revolutionized mathematics, and no exaggeration, it's the foundation of the digital world we all live in today.
And this innovative spirit was popping up everywhere. On one hand, you have pure science. This iron pillar in Delhi, it's been standing for 1,600 years and it hasn't rusted.
We'd struggle to make something like that today. And on the other hand, you have pure art. These absolutely breathtaking paintings from the Ajanta caves, it just shows you science and art were flourishing side by side.
And the list of geniuses from this era is just staggering. You've got astronomers like Aryabhata, who figured out that the Earth revolves around the sun a full 1,000 years before Copernicus did in Europe. You've got writers like Kalidasa, who's basically the Shakespeare of ancient India, and medical pioneers like Vagbhata, whose work on Ayurveda is still influential today.
So, where did all these brilliant minds come from? Well, they were nurtured in places like this, the incredible Nalanda University. This place was way more than just a school. It was one of the world's first great universities. Think of it like the Harvard or Oxford of its day. People came from all over Asia to study here. It was a true powerhouse of ideas.
Now, all great empires eventually fade, and the Gupta Empire was no exception. But its impact, its legacy, well, that's something that is very much still with us.
It's a fair question. Why should we care about something that happened so long ago? Well, the truth is, you're living with their legacy right now, probably without even realizing it.
Let's just run through it. The number system you use every single day, that's from them. The foundational concepts in math and astronomy that, eventually helped us get to the moon, they laid some of that groundwork. The art, the literature, the medical knowledge, it all became part of the world's library of knowledge, a foundation we are still building on today.
So, the Guptas gave us a blueprint. They showed us what's possible when a society gets that rare combination of peace, prosperity, and intellectual freedom just right. They created a golden age that has echoed through time. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to think about, right? When people 1,000 years from now look back at our time, what will they say our great legacy was?